you look gorgeous. Can you tell me, how long did it take for you to perfect your British accent in Ginger and Rosa?
Yeah, you know, it took about 2 months to get it just right, because it was also very specific, because it was 1960s London, so you know it was all their sort of slang words from back then, and yeah, but I worked with a dialect coach, and we really sort of went word by word, you know, really being very picky.
Do you find it easy to move in and out of accents?
I do. You know, it was the first role that I'd ever had to do an accent for, so it was something very different. I was sort of nervous, you know, oh God, an accent, you know, what is it going to be like? Is it going to feel unnatural? But once you get the hang of it, and especially when we were filming in London and everyone's speaking like that around you, you know, you start sort of thinking in that way. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Please welcome the president of the board of the Santa Barbara International Film Festival, Doug Stone.
Good evening, and welcome to kind of the halfway point of the 28th Santa Barbara International Film Festival. Tonight is the Virtuosos Award. It's a great evening, a chance not to see one person, but to see 6 people who had fantastic performances this year. The moderator for tonight, his 3rd year in a row, he is the host of The Frontrunners on Fandango, Dave Karger. Please welcome Dave.
Thank you so much. It is my absolute pleasure to be back a 3rd year hosting the Virtuosos. This is a highlight of my year. I love this crowd, I love this theater, I love this town, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. I will tell you, if there's one thing that our 6 very impressive virtuosos can teach us, it's that when you're an actor, a breakthrough moment in your career can happen at really any time. It can happen in your first professional acting job, as it did with our Oscar nominee Quvenzhané Wallis from Beasts of the Southern Wild. It can happen when you're, let's say, in high school or college age, like Elle Fanning or Ezra Miller. It can happen when you've been at it for about a decade or so, when you're in your early 30s, like Eddie Redmayne or Omar Sy. Or it can happen when you've been toiling on stage, film, and television for over 3 decades, like Ann Dowd. It is a fantastic half dozen of actors tonight that I'm going to have the pleasure to introduce you to, but before I do, let's watch a highlight reel of their work. Okay, so now it is my pleasure to show you a little bit of a clip from Ginger and Rosa, starring Elle Fanning. For those of you who have not seen this film, it's an absolutely gorgeous film that takes place in England in the 1960s about 2 best friends, particularly Elle's character, Ginger, is fretting over the looming Cuban Missile Crisis and also just kind of coming of age and also having a very hard time dealing with the fact that her best friend, Rosa, is sleeping with her father. It's an exquisite performance by Elle Fanning, and let me show you a little bit of it right now. Amazing to think that actress is 14 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, Elle Fanning. Hello, have a seat. I'm so happy to see you with a smile on your face, Elle.
Yes, no tears.
We're okay. The Cuban Missile Crisis has been averted.
Alive,
We're
yeah.
all right. I can't say the same for Rosa and your dad. It's, that didn't end up so well. This character of Ginger, nicknamed Ginger because of her red hair, we should say, she's such an impressionable young woman. She's really at this time in her life where all of these experiences, she's becoming, her father is an activist, so she's very, she's very influenced by him. Is that something that you were able to relate to, this girl who is really has her eyes open to all these new experiences?
Yeah, I think for me it was because she's a teenager, and at the time I was 13, so I was a teenager as well, and also like when you're that age, you want to be, you know, an adult in a way, but you don't want to have the responsibilities of an adult. You still want to have the freedom, and I think that that's what Ginger was struggling with as well. She wanted to be free, but she didn't want to sort of have all the weight and the responsibilities, especially during that time when knowing, you know, the world at any moment, you know, the next day, you know, they could all be dead, you know, it could end, and so she was definitely sort of overwhelmed by that, and also sort of the betrayal that she finds out, you know, with Rosa later.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ginger's considerably old. Isn't she 17 or something, 16 or 17 in the movie?
Yeah, I remember when I read the script the first time, it said she was 16, and then I was 12 when I auditioned for it. So I was really I didn't think that I was gonna, you know, actually get it or anything. But when I met Sally for the first time, we instantly clicked right away. And
Sally Potter, the director.
The director, yes. We have a really intense relationship together, and from that day, I was like, maybe it will happen, you know, maybe it will, because I felt something, and when I got the script back, when I was like I got the role, she had deleted the age in the script because she knew I was young, and whenever we talked about it, because Alice, who plays Rose in the movie, when she did it, she was 17, and but Sally said that age didn't matter. She said, don't even think about that, it doesn't matter.
Well, you two definitely come across as the same age. I think you carry yourself older, you're tall, I think that helps things. How about the whole kind of 1960s vibe of the film? Was that exciting for you to explore? How did you get into that whole 1960s feeling? Yes,
it definitely was. Because Sally grew up in that time, and she knew what it was like, especially 60s London is very specific, you know, with the clothes and all the little details. And Sally told us about sort of the different cliques they had back then. There were like the beatniks, and Sally was a beatnik, and Ginger and Rosa are beatniks, and she said they're like the cool people that listen to jazz music, and they wore like really the tight, you know, high-waisted jeans and big sloppy sweaters and the pea coats. So I got to sort of experience that.
A lot of your performance that's so impressive is non-dialogue driven. There's a lot of scenes where you're marching in a parade or just kind of looking on to the situation, and you have these great smiles. There's also scenes where you're kind of in another room while people around you are arguing, and there's lots of shots of you as you're trying to take this all in. Were you very conscious of the work that you had to do non-verbally on this movie?
Yeah, we had talked about it, how sort of the mannerisms and little sort of, and just listening to conversations matter, you know, even more than sort of what you're actually saying, especially even when you are talking with the dialogue. It matters about sort of the layers underneath and what you're feeling behind that, because you could be saying something, you know, coming out of your mouth, but meaning something completely different. And so we definitely talked about that.
How about the fact that this is a character, you know, a 16-year-old who is really concerned and upset? She thinks the world is ending. She thinks she's about to die. She thinks the whole Western civilization is about to end. How did that, if at all, make you change the way you look at life and death and mortality? Is that something that went on in your mind as you were doing this movie?
Yeah, I remember during rehearsals, the whole cast, we were in Sally's apartment and just sort of talking about different things, and Sally was like, have any of you guys ever been on marches or anything? And a couple people had, and I was like, I've never done that. It didn't even go through my head before I filmed this that actually sort of still happens in a way, and people still do that and things. And I was questioning, like, well, should I should be doing this. I should be, thinking of a cause, that I want to do. But I think with Ginger, she's also sort of trying to figure out her place in the world. So I guess with me, sort of still trying to figure out, what I sort of root for.
If people might have noticed, she's almost unrecognizable, but Annette Bening is in this movie, and she was in that scene that we saw. You have a couple scenes with her, but not tons. What was it like to work with her? Do you wish you had more to do with her in the movie?
Oh, it was amazing. We, working with her, she's incredible. I felt like I was just like staring at her, like, oh, there she is, and with her, her hair and the glasses, and I was. We had the best time together. She gave me sort of we talked about, we never really talked about, like, the scenes of the characters that much. We were just sort of getting to know each other, and it was amazing.
This is a movie that I should tell people, it did have a very short release at the end of 2012, but its full release is actually about to happen in March. So this is a movie you all can see, Ginger and Rosa, when it comes out, and it's very special. One scene that I won't forget for a long time is the scene, there's the character of your father, Alessandro Nivola, has a boat, and he invites you and Rosa, your best friend, to spend a night with him on the boat. It becomes crystal clear that he's got designs on your friend, and there's a moment where the two of them get together, and the shot, while we're listening to the sounds of the two of them getting together, the shot is of you by yourself with tears streaming down your face as your world is really crumbling around you. It's so powerful. Can you take me back to that moment and how you prepared for that? Because it really is one of the most impressive scenes in the movie.
Thanks. We actually filmed on a real boat, so we were all sort of crammed together in the back room there, and it was, we never really discussed it that much, but just knowing that, trying to imagine and put yourself in Ginger's position of knowing that her father and her best friend are in the other room. You try to imagine what it would be like. You can't really, but try to, and especially, she's reading her T.S. Eliot poem book, because Ginger's really, she sort of releases her feelings through her poetry, and at that time she's reading her book and she's trying to concentrate on her book, and she thinks that that's going to save her, but in reality, she just, the sounds just overwhelm her, and also she loves her dad, so she has this sort of, she can't tell her mom, or she can't tell anyone else what's actually going on, because she doesn't want to get her dad in trouble, even though what her father's doing is completely wrong. So she just has a lot of mixed feelings and emotions.
Do you miss the red hair?
I do. I loved it. My hair's never been any other color than blonde, so it was a complete change. And we filmed in East London, and I filmed another movie. I went back to London, and I had my blonde hair, and I was like, this is weird. Like, I need to have my red hair in East London. Like, it needed to be that way for me. But yeah, it was perfect for Ginger. I can't have it without Ginger.
And do you feel like you ever would have found a role like this? You said you were 12 when you read it. Do you ever think you would have had a role this complex at this point in your career?
I don't think so. It sort of just arrived, and it was there. And when I read it, I thought it would definitely be a challenge, just because there are so many different feelings that I've never even experienced in real life before. So having to portray it in a film.
Well, by watching this performance, you would think that you have gone through it in real life, because it's that effective. Congratulations, Elle Fanning, everybody.
Thank you so much.
You can just go back out that way.